So I want to talk about grades in the class. And again, I'm doing this as a separate lecture because, it's in the syllabus, something we talk about on the first day. But usually it's going to be towards the end of the class that students have questions on it. And so, I want to have it so it's an easily identifiable lecture. So if you have any questions about like where you are in the class, and at any point in the semester, this will be in the introductory module, but it's easy to find. And so what I've done is I made a table showing we have quizzes, labs, exams, and the final. And this first column is a percent of like the total class. So quizzes will be worth 25% of the entire class. Labs will be 25%, exams 35%, and the final exam will be 15% of your class. So how do we calculate grades? So let's start by looking at quizzes. We're going to have 26 quizzes over the whole semester, and things get really busy. So I know things are going to happen. So I'm going to drop a couple quizzes. I'm not fixed on the number yet, but I'm thinking like I'll drop probably 2 quizzes. So let's say there's 24 quizzes overall. Now I want to just have an example. These are not going to be the real numbers, but very important point. Let's say we have quiz 1 and quiz 2. Let's say when you take quiz 1, it says this quiz is worth 7 points. And quiz 2, say, is worth 4 points. Now, the quizzes kind of vary in the number of questions and how long you have to do them. And what I do is I just kind of look at each question individually and decide how many points that's worth, kind of thinking about partial credit. Obviously, if you get it right, you get full credit. But think of kind of the steps that go into it and how much I can assign for each part of it. And so I don't try to normalize each quiz and say every quiz is worth 10 points or something like that. Because what we're going to do is just convert every quiz to a percentage anyways, which will normalize them all that way. So even though these aren't the real numbers, let's say quiz 1 is 7 points. And quiz 2 is 4 points. These 2 quizzes are worth the exact same amount towards your final grade. Because, maybe say in quiz 1 you get an 80%, and quiz 2 you get a 70%, so your average on those 2 quizzes is 75. Doesn't matter if this one has a higher point value. So I want to make that clear. Don't look at this quiz and think that's no big deal because it's only 4 points. It's worth just as much as all the other ones. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have 26 quizzes. And say we drop 2, so there's 24. And it actually kind of works out nice. You can think of each quiz as a percentage point almost, just as a rough guideline. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take all the quizzes that we didn't drop and convert everyone to a percentage. They're all worth the same amount, and then just average all of those. And let's say, so I made a column here for a hypothetical student. Say this person got a 90% on the quizzes. So that was their average score overall for everything. Now 90% of 25, what's that, 6.25. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Completely ignore that. What was I thinking? Okay, 90% of 25, 22. I'm thinking a quarter of 25, but yeah. So let's see, was that 22.5? Is it? Yeah, 22.5. Okay. So if you take all your quizzes at the end and you average it, that turns out, and you get a 90%, that would be 22.5 points for your final grade. So the whole class is out of 100 points, So here you'd have 22.5. And then let's look at the labs. So you got an 80% average on the labs. So again, we're going to have 8 labs overall. And 2 of them will be just those introductory ones that we do at home on the computer. But then we'll have 6 experiments, but they're all worth the same. So what we'll do is you'll have a percentage for each lab, take the average. Say you got 80%. So 80% of 25 is 20. Okay. Now let's actually stop here for a moment, because you can kind of see where this is going. We do the same thing for exams and the same thing for the final. And then at the end, we'll just add up all these numbers, and that'll be your percentage for the course. But say we're just still in section 1, we haven't even taken an exam yet, but you want to know where you are in the class. So again, right now you have a total of 42.5 points out of 50, because we're not considering the exams or the final exam. So 42.5 out of 50, if we just multiply by 2 over 2, that would be an 85%. That would be your current score. So, and then let's say you take the first exam and you get a 70% on that. So 70% of 35, let's see, 24.5. Let's double check that number. Yeah, 24.5. Okay. So now say you've taken your first exam and you want to see how you're doing in the class. So now there's been a total of 85 possible, because we're now considering exams. Now if we add these up, what do we get? 67. And that's 67 out of 85. Let me do that here. That's 78.8%. So that would be trying to avoid doing this overall, like when class is over. These borderline cases are always difficult. But this would be like a 79 basically, which is a C. So again, it's always unfortunate when that happens, and it seems like, can you round that up? And there's got to be a cutoff somewhere. So yeah, like you need an 80 to get a B. So try to, that's why it's a good idea going through the class. Like if you're aiming for a B, you take exam 1 and it's like, okay, you're close, but you have to do a little better in the future to get that B. So it's a good idea to kind of keep track. I looked at after having a quiz and exams, when we first start with that, before the first exam, you can figure out your current score in the class based on which categories we've covered. And then, final exam, let's say you get a 90 on that. Now, of course, we consider an example, your first exam was a 70. Now, there will be 2 more exams before you get to the final, so this number will probably change. But let's say going into the final, these are your numbers. And then let's see what happens here. 90% of 15 is 13.5. And just because we have 2.5s already, I will round that up to 14. So your final score, you'll have a 0.5 at the end. We can round that up. So let's do that. We've got 70, 20, 20, 20, and 10, that's 70. And then 2.5 and 4.5. Looks like this is an 81% overall, which would be a B. And so it's a good idea to, maintain a record of all your scores. Now, I want to say that everything is going to be on Canvas. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. But because we're doing some things in person, I have to figure out how to actually put things like exams, and labs, they're not going to be done online at all, except for the first two labs. And so, the exams in particular have nothing to do with Canvas. And we used to use Blackboard, where I could just add a column if I wanted to, but Canvas does everything automatically. So I'm not sure how to add this exams to it, but I'll figure that out. So basically, all your scores will be on Canvas. I'll make sure to display everything as a percentage. And it's a good idea. Just, keep an idea of where you are in the class, so you can see how you're doing. And I know, especially during the summer, things get complicated. So if you have any, concerns, definitely don't hesitate to contact me about that. And, especially if you let me know in advance, you're struggling with time, things happen. And, if you let me know in advance, pretty good at, working with you and trying to figure out a way to, we want to maintain this schedule and do everything we set out to do in the beginning. But, if you get overwhelmed with something, definitely let me know soon as, before things get out of control. And keep track of where you are in the class so you kind of know what you have to aim for. And, if there's a mistake on Canvas or something, let me know. Okay, so, hopefully now you know how to calculate your grades, like before the final exam and also your final grade in the class.